everyone, and thank you for joining me again. In this video, I would like to wish my Seashell Blessings a happy second birthday. I can't believe it's been 2 years of having Seashell Blessings now, and being able to watch it grow and growing with it has just been absolutely amazing. I got to meet so many people along this journey, and I got to help so many people, and that makes this all worth it in the end. Yeah, now I'm completely at loss here. I've probably had the worst 2 weeks or so since I've had the accident, and I'm finally getting back to myself again. So, you know, this is just amazing that I can come on here and do this today. Anyway, thank you to all of those who stuck by me through this journey, and those who have just joined our journey. You know, it's a real pleasure meeting so many new people. Today I want to do a video about my opinions and the way that I learned how to do automatic writing and channeling, so you could say, and how I began to do my readings. So I hope you're going to enjoy this. I'm going to try and make this as easy as possible for you guys. First off, automatic writing. That's where I kind of started before I actually started using telepathy to read them, because I wanted to get more yes and no answers. So let's start there. So automatic writing is the process where you can channel a spirit to hear more about their story. This process may be easy to grasp for some or a little bit harder for others. As you all know, I probably talked about it in one of the other videos. I don't really believe in meditation. I know. I kind of do my own kind of thing when it comes to that. So here we go. Anyway, when I started to do automatic writing, come on, lay down. What would happen would be I would just put myself in a dimly lit room, usually the living room. We would turn the lights down, have it quiet. My house really never gets quiet, as you can hear the birds still tweeting and the dogs bark and TV and kids and whatnot. But I would wait till they were all in bed, and then I would just sit here and I'd take a notebook. I would ask one of my spirits that I wanted to communicate with if they would like to work with me, and then I would start. I know, like, they say that automatic writing is all about hypnosis or getting deep into meditation. Don't know how much of that I believe either. Like I said, these videos are my opinion only, and what I have learned for myself. I'm not judging anyone. If anyone, I'm sure everybody has a different way of doing it. But what I would do would just be sit here. Now, I've seen, when I started to, I would just end up writing words. What I would do would ask my spirit to tell me a little bit about their life, and I would clear my head of everything else, and from there I would just start to write. Anything that came to my mind, once it was cleared, I would write down. I remember working with Gloria in the beginning, and I think I'm just gonna go with this. I think it was hers anyway. It was either her or one of the other teenagers that we have, but the first words that came through were skiing and mountains. As I would hear these words in my mind, I would build pictures, which obviously lead to visions. It's easy to do, in my opinion, but I would just take everything that was not my thoughts and write it down. Now, in the beginning, it did come out chicken scratchy, or I would just ask them to use my hand if they wanted to write. They did, but it didn't take me long to expand on that whole perspective of that. I would just sit at the kitchen table, I remember, with Casey, and we would just sit there and I'd say, okay, Casey, you know, tell me a little bit about yourself. And then I would see all kinds of pictures, and just as I was seeing those pictures, I would write it down. And it got much easier to do as I practiced it. I was getting 1 to 2, 3 pages written as I would sit and do a session. I think it's easier if you start your sessions at maybe 5 minutes just to start and wrap. But then sometimes they get a little bit longer, but you don't want to go too long because, you know, you want to keep the conversation with your spirit going for a while. So you don't want to dive too much into it because they're also using their energy to give you these visions and thoughts and ideas and whatnot. Anyway, me and Casey worked like that for a while, and I must say though, the one really cool experience I've had was with a spirit who was not attached to a vessel here, and that was my husband's grandmother. I wasn't expecting it the one day. He had been going through some trials of his own, and I know, like, these spirits just pop up next to me or behind me or in front of me. No, I don't see the full body apparition of them standing there like you see in these shows, but I know energy. I know when it's near me, I know when it's around, and I know most of the time who it is. So anyway, I was kind of surprised that it was her. I was dating my husband maybe a couple months before his grandmother passed away, so I really didn't get a lot of time to spend with her. I do remember going and visiting my mother-in-law's house, and her mom was there, and me and one of my sister-in-laws now, who was also just dating my brother-in-law at the time, his grandmother came up and put her arm around both of us and said that we were the pick. We were the ones that were supposed to be with her grandsons. And, you know, it was pretty much her blessing. And like I said, there I am only dating my husband for a very short period of time, and we did not know what was going to come out of it at the time. But it was just, I remember the experience actually being there, and it was actually very awesome. It was a little confusing at the time because I'm sure all you guys know sometimes relationships don't last. So it was a little bit confusing. It did give me hope, but like I said, when it come down to it, it wasn't what his grandmother would think. You know, it would obviously be his and I decision if we're staying together or not. But she was fixed that we were supposed to be together. And also my brother-in-law and sister-in-law now. Not long after that, she passed away. And my husband and I had our first son. We were not pushed to get married, but we chose that we wanted to. Because why not? You know, we love each other. We have a son now. And here I sit 23 years later. But anyway, this day my husband was particularly having a hard time with just some stuff he was going through in his life, and I felt her pop by. And like, sometimes it's a smell, sometimes it's just a feeling, but I felt the same energy as I did the day that I actually hugged her in real life. And I said, okay, well, you want to talk? Let's talk. You know, okay. I was just learning how to do it. So I sat down with a piece of paper and I just started writing. And they were not my thoughts because, as I said, I've only met her a few times before she passed. So I didn't really spend any quality time with her like you would getting to know a relative or a family member. And I just started to write. And by the time we were done, we had about 3 pages. And I said to my husband, okay, this is a message from her. She told me what to write. I wrote it. Like I said, now don't get me wrong, I knew the woman was religious, but I did not know to what extent at the time that I did this. And when he wrote it or read it, I knew that it was obviously true, because he mentioned that I knew things that I didn't know I knew, kind of thing. Only things that they would know, maybe, or the family who spent more time with her would know. And different words that she spoke in regards of prayers or stuff like that. I am not Catholic, he is. So I never really practiced some of the stuff that you learn in a Catholic church. I was raised Protestant, and obviously anybody who knows religion knows that they're kind of the same, but they have their different ways. So I really wouldn't have known some of the stuff that was written down. We didn't tell his mother about, or his parents about, what I did with the spirits, or that I was sensitive, or I could do this or hear them or read them or whatnot, until a while after I did it, because, with her being Catholic, I didn't want to be judged. And I know there's a lot of people like me who love to do this kind of stuff, but they don't want their family to know. And I get it. I didn't want her to know. And one day it came to where I was tired of kind of hiding it, because, you're in your own home and you're your own person. I was in my 40s, so like, I really wanted nobody telling me what I can do and what I can't do anymore. So we told her about it, and she kind of stewed on it for a little, I guess. And then a future visit that they came, Adam had left her read the letter. And when she started to cry, I knew that, once again, I had the confirmation that I needed, that I actually spoke to his grandmother. And I think that made her believe more than she did too. I think she found that day, she found a sense of peace that she probably will never tell me she did. Because, like I said, people say when someone passes away that they're always there with you. They'll always be right next to you. But like, I lost my parents, and there was days I'm thinking, well, where the heck are you? Because I don't feel you here. This was before spirit work and anything like that. And I went through a long depression because all I wanted to do was feel my mom around, and I never did. I do remember right after my mom passed away, in our other house we lived in, my son was only around 3 years old when she passed. And it was the day like when people bring food and whatnot. And I was just having a hard time keeping it together, because my husband did have to work that particular day. And I was there with a toddler and a newborn, and people coming to visit and trying to make arrangements for my mom. And I remember seeing my little boy sneak into the kitchen, and he took cookies. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I saw that. And like, he did his little sneaky charade. We lived in a big Victorian house, and my mom had a hospital bed in the middle room, which we used as a playroom, for when she was sick, and she moved in so I could take care of her. And that day, the hospital bed was still up. I wasn't ready. Like, it wasn't that long either, so I wasn't quite ready to get down and break all that stuff down. But anyway, I seen my son take these cookies and run. And I'm like, okay, little stinker, you're 3 years old. Okay, let's see what you're gonna do. So I was standing in my kitchen when it happened, and there was a doorway where it would be our dining room, but you could see through to the toy room, and then you could see through to the living room. It was just all kind of open but divided. And I remember seeing him, anyway, I remember seeing him sitting in on her bed, and I said, "What are you doing, Andrew?" And he said, "Nothing." And I said, "What are you doing, Andrew?" And he said, "Sharing cookies with Grammy." I'm like, okay. I wasn't into any of this stuff, and okay, you're sharing with Grammy. So it just goes to show that kids can see them too. But anyway, with the automatic writing, that just took me to be able to expand on it. And it seems like anytime my husband would get to a bad place or need help of some kind, she'd come around and we'd go at it again. And I think there was maybe 2 or 3 very long messages from her that I know helped him, probably as much as they helped me. So it is a really amazing thing once you can do it. I did have a friend tell me that there's actually people that make you pay to learn how to do it, which I don't agree with. But like I said, my opinion only here. What anybody wants to do with their money or their time is totally up to them. Because it's really not a hard process. I actually learned a lot about it from just reading online about it. But it came very natural to me. So I just went with it. When I would work with my spirits with the automatic writing, I would just find myself sitting and writing paragraphs. And then once they would tell me their birthdays, what they could, and once I did that, I would take the rods after I was done the session. And I would go back and talk to them and ask them questions. Is this yes or no? Did you say this? Or was this... Just going back through what they told me, and you find out, like, once you get the confirmations, how much you can actually learn about them. And once you get really good at that part, that's when you can start to use telepathy a little bit more, if you're good at it. And you don't even really have to... You get to a point where you don't really have to even write anything down. You can actually just do their reading. It's almost like a reading. I am happier doing reading with spirits. I don't really do readings on people who are still with us here. Because I don't know. I just... the ones that have passed are more interesting to me than some people who are still alive. Anyway, automatic writing can lead you right into being able to use telepathy and doing your own readings. It's not a hard process. It's a learned process. The more you learn about it, the more you can elaborate on it. Some questions you can ask them are, when's your birthday? Do you have a favorite color? Do you have a favorite place you used to go? Do you have a favorite song? That's how I started out with that, just basic stuff. But like I said, when the visions will start to come, the more you dive into it. I'm not saying this is a guaranteed experience for everyone, but just an experience that I learned from my own perspective. This is how it happened for me. So probably anybody can do this. But you always want to make sure you're careful. You always want to make sure you're in a good frame of mind and a steady frame of mind when you do any kind of reading or divination to begin with. Because anything can get in sometime. I don't know if that makes any sense, but let me expand on that a little bit. You're going to want to always know that you're safe. You're going to want to make sure you're always protected. You have to, in my opinion, you have to have a very strong belief system. You have to set very strict boundaries with any kind of divination that you do. I've never, when I was maybe 10, I touched the Ouija board once, but that was about it. And I never had any plans to even use one of those, because you just never know. But then again, you can go to Walmart and walk up to a person and they could have a huge criminal history and you would never know either. So the living is just like the dead, in my opinion, because you don't know. You don't know, is this person lying to me? Or is this spirit lying to me? Or do I need to watch my back? Or are they all here with love and light? So my advice is just to be very careful. Don't dig into stuff that you don't know what you're doing right away. There, I fixed that one. Don't do that right away. Make sure that you have a good enough, like I said, boundary system. You are strong. You're not afraid. Because I do believe they feed on people who are weak and who don't have a strong enough foot to put down, basically, if you want to look at it that way. So, you know, like I said, this spirit stuff is not for everyone. But if you're here watching this, I'm sure that it's crossed your mind, or you are a keeper, and just looking for some more ways to work with them. And I got your back. You know, everybody has to learn somewhere, and I did. So, like I said, the biggest thing is just make sure you're careful, make sure you have boundaries. Set them as high as you can. Don't let your guard down, because you never know what you're talking to or who you're talking to all the time. Just like I said, you never know who you're riding up to next to at McDonald's or, you know, at a gas station. Trust no one, I guess. I don't know. Maybe that's harsh, but I think once you do it for a while and you get used to the different kinds of energies, then you can take it as far as you're comfortable with. Because by that time, you've already reached a point where you know how to protect yourself. But yeah, I loved automatic writing, and I found that very much easier to help channel the different kinds of spirits, or spirits when you go to the cemetery. Sometime I'll feel something around me or someone. We've had a few jump on my husband and attach to come home with him from different places. We've had a really cool experience at one of our local hospitals with a spirit and my husband. I'll just share this real quick and then we can end it. There's this man, his mom used to work as a nurse on the cancer ward for a while, and they would do the infusions of the chemo and radiation or whatever like that. But she was an RN there, and she met a lot of people who were older from our area that were, you know, passing away soon, or who ended up passing away soon. Anyway, I don't know how this guy knew it. Maybe we were walking out of the hospital talking about her or something. And we get in the car and we're about to drive away, and my husband got a quick pain in his chest. And he's like, I don't know what it is. I said, well, I don't know. And next thing I know, there's this man spirit popping out behind him. And I'm like, okay. I said, you got a friend? Okay. And then all I heard was my mother-in-law's name in my head. So I said, okay, well, he knows your mom. So I asked him politely, you know, back off my husband a little bit. I will be happy to talk to you when we get home, but you can't attach to him or cause him any distress. When we came home that day, I began to talk to him, and he was actually a patient there, and he knew my mother-in-law. And I guess they had a treatment one day where this man, you know, had nobody to drive him home or something like that. He drove himself there, and he got really sick during the treatment, and he was able to go home, but he was not allowed to drive. So this man sat outside on a bench right in front of the hospital doors, and that's where he waited for his ride. And he was really kind of ticked off at the staff for not letting him drive home that day. And my mother-in-law, I guess, was a part of that. And said, you know, not nasty or anything, but they were not going to let him drive. He was just way too sick. Anyway, so I guess maybe a couple weeks passed or so, and he actually did pass away. But his biggest memory was being told, like, you know, you can't drive. And he just kind of found himself sitting on that bench outside of the hospital. Maybe it was one of his more like recent lucid moments before he passed, but that moment stuck with him. And I remember coming home, and I believe they visited a couple days later, and I asked my mother-in-law about it, and she kind of had a little bit of a recollection about this man, and I had no idea anything about it. You know, this guy just came home with us, but he just wanted to be heard, and he wanted them to know that even though he had to wait there and they said he couldn't do something, that pretty much now his soul was set free, that like he can do whatever the heck he wants, being in heaven and hanging around here and coming back and forth. And I just think we all learn something from that. The takeaway from that for me was, you know, once they're gone, I think we all kind of are like, oh, well, you know, they're gone. But sometimes they just have that extra business to do. And this man's business was just basically telling us he was pissed off because he got told to sit outside and wait for a ride. Something as easy as that. And, you know, I kind of chuckle about that now whenever we have to go back to that hospital again, because I kind of feel like he's there waiting for us. Okay, so if anybody has any questions about automatic writing, you can message me on Instagram. Like I said, I don't feel it's complicated as some people make it. I don't feel like you have to go to take classes for 8 hours before you could even try it. I don't feel like, you know, that I don't know. I just feel like this is something simple enough that you can handle on your own to begin to do it. And you just don't need the guidance, I guess, that like this person, whoever was hosting this class in particular, it wasn't even in my state, where he was going to charge people to come. I don't think you need it, but that's my opinion. You can take away from this little speech what you would like. So anyway, I'm going to get going now and get some listings up. And I wish you all a very good day. Hello everyone, I just wanted to jump in here. I'm going to be making a couple of smaller videos and having my husband put them all into one for you guys as I think of things. I want to show you guys this little box I've done. Obviously when I do some of my work here, I light candles, and for my intentions, as I showed you in the candle video. And when they get burnt all the way down, I didn't know really what to do with them. So I thought, what better than to get a little box. And then I put some flowers in here, some dried flowers from flowers that we had bought for them as an offering. And then I decided to put all my little candles in here with the different intentions that were on them. And I think it's just a cool way to keep your attentions alive and have a place to store them. When this box gets full, I will close it up, seal it up with some wax, either bury it or just keep it in a nice safe place. That way I know that all the intentions and energy that I put into the candles will still be alive and well.